This is Dr. Paul Thomlinson from Compass Health Network, and I'm doing a continuing series aimed at inspiring hope and promoting wellness during these times we're living in and living through. This is the third and final part of Unmasking the Psychology of Masks, where I want to continue to apply evidence-based psychology to the issue. Given the CDC's recommendation that nearly everyone wear cloth face coverings in public places, especially where distancing is problematic or impossible, I think anything we can do to better understand masks and the psychological dynamics involved with them is a good thing. In the first two episodes, we talked a lot about all the resistance to masking, and now I want to turn to some other psychological dynamics involved with masks. Again, all in hopes of improving the saturation of regular and faithful mask wearers in our population. Why do we care about that? Because it's what Compass is all about, inspiring hope, which is what seeing masks should do rather than the opposite, and promoting wellness, which is more than the absence of disease, COVID or otherwise, and involves our emotional and mental status as well. So off we go for a deeper dive into the psychology of masks. Everything old is new again. History is prologue. We can clearly see some parallels and maybe learn a lot from a good look at the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic. Much like today, the wearing of masks was one of the real flashpoints of rebellion back then. Also like today, the reaction and pushback was more pronounced than even the lockdown orders. So it seems masks have a surprisingly disproportionate psychological impact on people. Why? Remember, it's not logical, it's psychological. So let's turn to some of those psychological issues surrounding masking that you may or may not have considered, but I find them intriguing. First, let me talk a minute about some fascinating studies on obscuring parts of the face and the impact of that on attraction. In short, research has clearly shown that partial masking of the face actually increases attractiveness. And these new studies have even quantified it as follows. 50% less face equals 40% more attraction. What? Could it be that's kind of like the allure of, hey, what's behind door number 3, Monty? It seems that partial masking increases attractiveness because the brain sort of fills in the blanks, and, interestingly, often in a positive way. What does this have to do with the topic at hand? Well, the key issue may be exactly what our brains are speculating about regarding what the mask is hiding. In the context of a pandemic, it looks like the mask might be concealing a dangerous viral infection. And that just adds to the sense of foreboding, the sense that something is very wrong, as mentioned before. And that adds to the psychological push toward denial for many. And of course, the lighthearted response is that, we're all going to get 40% more attractive if we obscure 50% of our face. I think it certainly works for me. But another issue, perhaps one of the most important ones as we move into the inevitable era of the mask, is that the mask is obscuring some very important information that we've come to depend on as human beings for navigating social interactions, including dangerous interpersonal situations at times. Masked interactions leave us with the sense that we just don't have the same kind of access to other people that we did before. And that's true. It gives a sense of distance and remove from everyone we pass by. As they say, the eyes are the window of the soul, right? But it turns out your chin and your mouth are pretty darn important too. You may have noticed that when the lower part of someone's face is covered, we tend to see their emotions as being more muted. Have you ever noticed that happy babies seem less so when their mouth is covered with a binky? Well, research shows that smiling women are perceived as less smiley, less happy, when wearing a veil. Bottom line is, without a view of the lower part of the face, we humans tend to read even strong emotions as more muted ones. Why is this important? Well, I don't think it's ever been more important for human beings to better understand one another. Recent events have re-emphasized that fact, and now we have novel ways to ensure that we misunderstand each other. We've probably all heard the old saying that 80 to 90% of the communication is nonverbal. Well, I question the exact percentage, but there's no question that nonverbals are incredibly important in helping us understand each other. Our faces are chock full of communication cues, especially emotional communication. For example, if you give a smile and I smile back at you, that's mirroring communication, and it confirms that I saw your smile. So now we're smiling together. We're on the same page emotionally, so to speak. But what if you can't see my smile because of the mask? What if I'm smiling with the intent of self-satisfied dominance, but you think I'm trying to connect or engage and you smile back? The point is, whatever your response is, it may not be based on an accurate reading of my face and my intent, and it may be very likely be viewed as a mistake on both of our parts. Oh goody, new ways to miss each other at a time when it's never been more important that we connect and get each other. So I do know masks have their downsides, and we have some new norms and new learning we're going to have to do as we enter this new era. In the spirit of seek first to understand, then be understood, I hope what we've shared here leads us to better understanding on all sides of the issue. And for those who are already true believers and acting accordingly, let's go a little easy on the people who are not yet wearing masks like they should, like they undoubtedly will. Let's not judge them as stupid or worse yet, evil. This kind of invective adds only heat but no light to the situation in which we find ourselves. I'll close with an intuitively obvious finding from a new German study. By the way, the Germans have done a remarkable job containing the virus, by all accounts. The results of their experimental study showed that the more people use masks, the less strange it feels for people to wear masks. And consequently, the higher the acceptance for using them in sustainable ways. Just like with seatbelts, just like with non-smoking flights and restaurants, you just get used to it, and it's fine. It's going to be fine. The study concludes with the hopeful assertion that, quote, this helps to efficiently and effectively reduce the risk of infecting others, unquote. That's what it's all about, my friends. That's what it's all about. It's all about perspective. So do you choose to see this as an infringement of your inalienable rights? Or do you choose to see it as an act of compassionate solidarity with your fellow human beings? Well, that's up to you, but I know which way I'm going.